Welcome to The Artist Matters. I'm Alex Rudy, and each week you will meet incredible artists from all walks of life. Filmmakers, writers, actors, painters, musicians, and so many more, sharing their stories to motivate and inspire the creative in you. Whether you're doing it for fun or looking to make a living, this show will help you on your journey to bring out the artist within and letting the world know that your art matters. Hey everybody, welcome back to The Artist Matters. I'm your host, Alex Rudy. And it's been a little bit of a sweet sorrow. Last week, my family went back to New York, which includes my granddaughter and my stepdaughter. Her father and my stepdaughter's boyfriend came down for a week. And we did a lot. Went to Universal, went to Busch Gardens, got to the beach, got to see some of her friends and family. It was really good times. But now we're in an empty house here in Florida. It's a little adjustment, but that's the way it is. But I'm very grateful for the time I had. New experiences, new memories. Couldn't ask for more. It's a very special time. And, but they had to go back up to New York. And funny enough, the week they arrived was when kids here in Florida went back to school. Really strange, because I'm so used to kids going back to school when I lived in New York right after Labor Day. And now this middle of August stuff, I mean, come on, summer's not over yet. But it actually helped at Busch Gardens. There was hardly any lines when we went on a Tuesday. And we did go on some rides quite a few times. We definitely got in our time, and it was a little exhausting. I wish I had the day off after, but I didn't. So I was kind of dragging ass at work, but it was all worth it. It was sad to see them go. But I know they're home safely, and we'll have to just do it again next year. But enough about me. Let's get into the show with our guest. Her name is Mackenzie Lee Hart. Hailing from Long Island, she is also an actress who's just starting off her career. And I remember seeing her at church. We attended the same church on Long Island in Sayville called St. John's Lutheran Church. Her mom was a member, and her mom eventually married the pastor there, Harry Schenkel. And they had a talent show. I think it was 2006. She was in it singing Landslide. It was the most adorable thing, this little girl at 9 years old singing a Stevie Nicks tune. And she did it really good, and it was quite memorable. Well, flash forward years later, I'm friends with her parents on Facebook, and her mom posted Mackenzie singing Over the Rainbow in various keys. It is incredible how she could go from one to the other, and it was just, what? Okay, I got to interview this girl. And I did. And as I've learned, she has always had it in her blood. Her mom's an artist, and her siblings are, and one of them is very well known. You will hear who that is when she tells you. I'm not going to spoil the surprise. But of course, she had to do Wizard of Oz when she was a young girl, and did play Dorothy. Also played Glinda later on, and got her first gig at the age of 17, being directed by one of her siblings in a movie called the SantaCon. She got to play an elf, and she knew this is good stuff. And she went to college for it, but it really wasn't happening. It wasn't jiving with her. And she explains about her desire to move to L.A. Obviously, she has some connections out there, which helped. And within 4 months of moving there, she got her first gig in a show called The Encounter, which will be debuting soon. Mackenzie's a very free spirit, very honest, very open, as you will soon see. There's so much more, but let me not waste any more time, and let's get into this episode and my little chat with Mackenzie Lee Hart. All right, we have Mackenzie Hart. Welcome, Mackenzie.
Hello. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. It's so wild to see you grown up. The last time I saw you were a little girl singing at church.
Yes, landslide.
Yes, we'll get into that, folks. Let's begin at the beginning. So, you were born in Smithtown on the island, huh?
Yes, on Long Island, Smithtown. Grew up in West Sable. Yeah, moved around a bit on Long Island.
Suffolk County gal. Mm-hmm.
Yes, Suffolk County.
And what were some of your earliest creative memories? Was it one thing? Was it multiple things?
I think I always was performing with my friends. We would always make up little plays and like have our parents record them or just like sit them down and make them watch our musicals and stuff. So that was always like what I was doing when I was hanging out with my friends. And then, I had been on stage since I was like 3 because my mom signed me up for dance classes. So that was really my first introduction to having the spotlight on me.
No.
And
did she see something in you that said, oh, she's a little dancer?
I think I just wanted to be so fabulous. And you could tell as like a toddler, I would like, if you put a camera on me, I was just like, okay, like big smile, big eyes. I was very sociable as a kid. I wasn't like shy at all. And I liked to just put on performances and be a Disney princess and all that jazz.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, dressing up, wearing like a big skirt every chance I could. So, yeah, I think my mom was like, all right, let's actually get you in a tutu and make you do ballet then.
So ballet was the dance you learned?
That was one of them. When you're a kid, they kind of dance you learn as a kid. It was like tap, jazz, and ballet was like the ones that I was doing as a kid.
Mm-hmm. And you enjoyed it?
No.
Oh.
I didn't want someone to impose on my creative expression. So I found it very hard to like follow dance moves and steps and stay disciplined in the classroom. So when I was a kid, I did not like dance. But now coming back at it, I got back into it in college, and now I'm like, if I don't take a dance class on a day, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my plies. I need to go back. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Now you said your mom's an artist.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe
she is.
That rubbed off on you, I guess.
Yeah. I can draw and paint, and she is more of she paints and draws. She's more of that type of artist. I wouldn't say she's a performance artist, although if you ever listen to her tell a story, she's performing and making half of it up. Oh my gosh, she's going to hate me for saying that, but it's true. But she's definitely a storyteller and very artistic in the way that she dresses herself and decorates the house and paints on the wall.
Any other creatives in the family?
My sister is Melissa Joan Hart, so that's a given.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Did you not know?
I did not know that. And I'm looking at your bio, and I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. I just saw Melissa, and like...
Well, I looked at her Wikipedia bio. When you asked me for a bio, I was like, oh my God, I have to write a bio? Oh, what do I even say? So I looked at her bio, and I literally copy and pasted it and then just made it relevant to me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So,
wow.
So she's my half sister. And she's a big reason of why I moved out to LA today. But we have the same dad. So I guess people will be like, oh, so it's in your blood. And I guess you could say that. I guess maybe we're just very outgoing, fun people. So people are drawn to us. But she was on Sabrina when I was born. So when I first saw her, she was on TV. But even before I could really comprehend, because you know how little kids can't even understand families and how they work. Before I could even really comprehend that she was my sister, I was already very outgoing, and my mom was like, "Oh, let's put her in dance and stuff." So I wouldn't say that I necessarily saw her and was like, "I want to do that." It was more of I had something in me, and then I also got to have a role model that happened to be doing the same stuff that I wanted to do.
Wow. Unbelievable. Who knew? So how did she get, so she was on the island with you. How did she get cast for any stuff? Was it her starting in New York and then...
She wasn't on the island with me, actually.
No.
She was already out in LA living by herself for the most part. I mean, because she's 21 years older than me.
Okay. She's
my oldest half-sister, and then there's 4 kids between us. I think I did that math right. Yeah. And so she had, I don't know if you know much about her, but she was on Clarissa. That was her big start. So she got that when she was around I think she was 13. So when she was in middle school, that's when she was kind of playing a Hannah Montana life. She would go off to Hollywood and film this TV show and live a kid's dream, and then she would go back and go to Sable Middle School and finish up her her middle school career. And then when she landed Sabrina, that's when they were like, all right, you are gonna have to be homeschooled while you're continuing with working on Sabrina. So she wasn't the first time I lived with her was just this year when I moved out and lived in her house, and she showed me the ropes of Hollywood. So yeah, I wasn't necessarily living with her at all as a kid.
We'll circle back to that. Now, any others in the family that are...
Yeah, I mean, all of my half siblings have acted. If you're familiar with Sabrina, I think out of all of the siblings, the second most famous of them is my sister Emily. She was Amanda, the evil cousin on Sabrina. So big Sabrina fans will recognize her. And now it's gotten to the point where Emily's reached an age where she looks a lot like Melissa did when she was on Sabrina. So people think Emily is Melissa. It's very funny.
Wow. But now back to Mackenzie's story. So you're doing this, you're doing the dance, but now, okay, where does acting come in for you?
Acting, I think my first time acting was at St. John's in The Wizard of Oz, and Harrison Schenkel directed it, and then he ended up becoming my stepbrother and best friend. But yeah, that was my first intro to acting. But even before I was Dorothy for The Wizard of Oz. And even before I got that role, I always knew that I wanted to act. And I was basically annoying the heck out of Harrison trying to get him to give me the role of Dorothy. And I was 10 years old. So he was going for someone who wanted to be who was 16. And I was well, Shirley Temple was supposed to be Dorothy, but then they found Judy Garland, and that's what happened. So she's supposed to be 10, so cast me.
Oh, she knows her history.
yeah, I know a lot about the Wizard of Oz. So yeah, that was my first actual role, and it was a lead, so I was lucky with that. And then
what was it like? Playing Dorothy, come on.
That's my God, being roles. Dorothy. I mean, honestly, when I had Dorothy, it bored me a little bit because Dorothy is kind of just the character that things happen to her, and she's just has this objective of getting home, and that's all she does. And every character around her is just magnificent. And a lot of the times, if I was practicing my lines, I would act out both lines equally committed because I would have so much fun with all the other characters in The Wizard of Oz. But yeah, so I definitely knew that I could be a lot more than just an ingenue. So yeah.
Do you do that now when you rehearse for roles? Do you do both parts sometimes?
I mean, I kind of fell out of it. I definitely fell into trying to figure out who my character was, but now that I've studied acting more, it is a lot more helpful to know the objective and who the other person